Welcome to the Impact Marriage Podcast. You're in the right place for authentic conversation about marriage that includes practical advice for a fun, fulfilling, and God-honoring marriage. We're your hosts, Allan and Nicole Blain, with 33 years of marriage since the ripe old age of 20 and 6 children raised. Our desire is to help you enjoy a passion-filled, mission-driven, relationship-rich marriage. Now let's jump into this week's episode.
In this episode, we will cover part 2 of our story, from our first date to marriage for 33 years and counting, which has included 22 moves and many challenges along the way.
That's right. So where should we start? We need to pick back up with where we left off on episode 1, which was our first date.
It was probably killing them. So let's start with that.
So where do we begin? I mean,
I guess big one.
I guess we should start with the fact that I viewed Nicole and still do as way out of my league. Okay, let's just get that straight. I've told, she knows this, but she doesn't believe it. But she knows I feel this way, that she was way out of my league, still is, and I never really believed that she would ever say yes to this 20-year, or no, we were 19, I guess, 19-year-old guy that she thought was visiting from the high school. I mean, what would make me think I even stand a chance, right? But I remember my friend, that same friend that I took the dance class with, Josh Walker, was encouraging me one day. He knew how much I liked Nicole, and he's like, you should just call her and ask her out on a date and ask her to dinner. And I'm like, there's no way she's going to agree to that. And he's like, and that shows you how much, I guess, self-confidence or the lack thereof I had in my own self. And he's like, no, what's the worst that can happen? She's going to say no. She's not going to say no, but that's the worst that can happen. So anyway, I asked her out, and she surprised me, shocked me, and said she agreed. And I remember getting off the phone, or I don't even know if I was off the phone. And I'm like, she said yes, Josh. She said yes.
and let's take it a little bit back, because I think the reason why you were so shocked is you had asked me to go out before, but it was very nonchalant. For my birthday, you were going to take me out.
Oh,
do you remember that?
The flake date.
And so I think you were thinking, oh, she's going to say no again, because she flaked on me the first time.
She stood me up.
I felt bad,
with
and
no
I apologized.
Yeah,
we didn't have
no
cell
way to
phones
communicate back then. Just she never showed up.
And the reason I didn't show up is, well, that was my personality, and I think a lot has changed after 33.
Your personality was to not show up?
Well, flaky. But a lot has changed in 33 years, right,
changed.
hon?
A lot has changed.
Yes. Just flaky. Go with the wind, type of personality. And that night, my youth group was having a bonfire on the beach.
Not the night I asked you, not the second night that we started off talking about, but the previous date
night
that she never showed up for.
You had asked me, yeah. And then they had told me about this. And, it really, in the back of my mind, wasn't that important to me, because after I got saved, I was like so on fire for the Lord. I'm like, Jesus is my husband. I really didn't care about guys, where before I was like boy crazy, right? And always had a boyfriend getting hurt, and I was done. So it really, it just wasn't on my radar. It just wasn't important to me. And even though I thought he was cute, I thought he was nice, I thought he was out of my league. But I was just so on fire for God, being a new believer during that time. And so when I got invited to this bonfire worship night, on the beach, I'm like, yeah, I'll go. And I completely forgot about the date. It was my birthday. So just a lot was going on, and a lot of exciting things. And I forgot.
So that's why
I'm so
I
glad
didn't have any confidence she would say yes, or that she would even show up. But anyway, I asked her, she said yes. And at the time, I was in a little studio on the beach, right near the beach, about a half hour's drive maybe away from San Luis Obispo. So I had a little commute, but it was a place I had to stay. And anyway, that's where I invited her over to make dinner and have a, romantic dinner by the beach, I guess.
It was incredible. He made homemade lasagna. I think you got the recipe from your mom.
Yeah.
Had sparkling apple cider. A beautiful salad was made.
Was it a beautiful salad?
It was a beautiful salad. Everything was perfect. I was blown away, because no guy had ever done that for me. But anyways, go back to you inviting me over.
I invited you over, yes.
And I said yes.
Yes, to my surprise.
And for me, I'm like, okay, this guy is nice. He, claims to be a Christian but and that was another thing. The guy that led me to the Lord's like, you need to really be careful of other guys and make sure they love the Lord and all this. So I was being cautious, but one thing that impressed me is when he invited me over before coming over, like Alan mentioned, we didn't have cell phones back then. I had a car, mind you.
1991.
No, it was a 1972
No,
orange.
the year was 1991.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. The year was 1991.
You're throwing me off,
there was
babe.
no cell
You're
phones.
throwing me off.
There was no cell
Yes,
phones.
yes. I had a Volkswagen Bug in 1972, so it broke down on me a lot, and we didn't have cell phones back then, and so there was many times it broke down on me. One time on the freeway, and he knew this. He knew.
I wanted to make sure she showed up.
He wanted to make sure I showed up safely. So he had me repeat the directions. I kid you not. It was like 4 or 5 times. Like, okay, repeat them back. And he gave me such incredible detailed, if anyone knows Alan, he's a detailed guy. He gives the most incredible detail. He's such a good teacher. And so I was just so impressed with the directions. That's what got me. I mean, people are like, what? That's why I fell in love.
Wasn't my athletic ability, wasn't my looks, it wasn't my intellect, it was my directions.
Too. It was all those too. But the directions is what like perked me up. Like, whoa, this guy is different. And he actually cares. I felt like for the first time ever, someone really cared about me. And
I actually did care about you in all authenticity. And I also just wanted to make sure you showed up.
I know.
So
I know, but I was
in full transparency.
Yes. But anyways, so I fell in love with that. I was like so impressed with your directions. And I know it sounds silly, but then it was over the top. Once I got there safely, I arrived, and then to see the spread, this beautiful dinner that he made, he went all out just for me. I never had a guy do that.
Well, I knew I needed every advantage I could get in the scenario because, like I said, she was out of my league. So I was pulling out the best I knew how to do, included a bonfire on the beach.
Yes, I was going to say
Chicago
it gets better.
Music. And,
yes. I mean, it was so romantic. I was so impressed. I'm like, this guy went over the top for me. And I was sold. I'm like, okay, you have my interest now.
And so 6 months later, I think 6 months later, we were engaged.
It happened quick.
And then, we had I think we had set like a 9-month engagement. So we had known each other for 6 months. We get engaged at 19, by the way.
And then I think we shocked our whole family.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he didn't have it like a whole lot of money. He had a Toyota truck at that time?
I think it was a Pontiac Sunbird or something. I don't remember,
but then I thought you got a Toyota after that. I can't.
Oh, the truck. Did I have the truck? It was a Isuzu Pup.
That's what it was. Okay, not a Toyota. Yeah.
But no, so maroon. But anyway, so no, I had no money. In fact, when I asked her to marry me, I had no money for a ring. And so yeah, I kind of got the cart ahead of the horse, maybe, now that I think about it, because I didn't have a ring and she said yes. And then I'm like, well, I need a ring. So I started hustling at my job, which I was going to school full-time, playing baseball full-time, which is about 40 hours a week. And then I was working at Taco Bell. And so I saved up. This is how broke I was. I had to save up $50 to buy a cubic zirconia ring to give to her, so she'd at least have something to be engaged with. And she didn't care, by the way.
I did not care.
Is Nicole's
I just
heart.
Wanted to marry him.
Yeah, which was another thing that was very attractive to me, by the way. And then I had to, and then it took me a while to save up $700 to go buy a diamond ring. And I think that was the actual wedding ring. I don't remember if you got it.
It was like a second proposal. And he did it at the Dodger Stadium with his family there. They all witnessed it.
Yeah.
And so that was the real deal.
So pretty just chill compared to all the big, proposals and stuff that happen today with camera and video and photographer and, all the big surprises and stuff.
Honestly, I don't mind. I like our story.
Yeah.
It's our story.
That's right. So anyway, we set a 9-month engagement, and then we realized just a couple months in, we're like, that's way too long. Okay. So then we shortened it to 6 months. So From the time we met in September of 91, we married in September of 92, 5 days after Nicole's 20th birthday. So I was 4 months older than her. So I was 20 and 4 months. She was 20 and 5 days old when we got married.
Just babies.
Just babies. And we had our first child at age 22. We had our third child by age 25.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in construction. Nicole, I mean, our first job at 20 years old, I went as a laborer, swinging a hammer, $7 an hour, learning the trade of siding and trim carpentry. And Nicole, you got a job.
Yes,
Doing what?
I worked at a fitness place and a gym.
Fitness center, yeah.
Fitness center, and I would have to open it up. I remember at like 4:30 a.m. I was the only one. It was pitch black outside. I was so scared. I remember doing
Yeah. Minimum wage in California at the
Yeah.
time, $4.25 an hour for her. I was making a whopping
crazy.
$7 an hour.
But the Lord provided always along the way. And like our house was super cheap rent.
Yeah.
Like there's no way we could have gotten married if it wasn't for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
he
had
always
a
provided.
$400 to $500 a month rental that was provided to us for $150. A market value at the time, $400 to $500. It was like a little,
Such a blessing.
900 square foot, 100-year-old farmhouse out on an olive or walnut orchard, real old little home. But anyway, God provided and we got by.
That's right.
And we always have. We've been very, very poor at different seasons in our life, and we've had excess at different seasons in our life. But you're right, God has always provided.
Always.
So yeah, that was kind of the early years through our 20s. Because I did not know Jesus, because I was not walking with him. After the third child at age 25, I had enough children. I thought, how would I be able to afford more children? I lacked the money for more. I lacked the time for more. Meanwhile, I was spending about every weekend fishing bass tournaments, I think, at the time.
Yes, you were.
And, and I didn't take into account what Nicole's desires were. And her heart was always to have a big family, right?
Yes, I wanted at least 10 children. God always put on my heart that I was going to have a big family. I didn't know how many children that was going to be, but yeah, he knew 6. We ended up having 6, but
at the time, I thought 3 was it. So I went and got a vasectomy against Nicole's will. I mean, she wasn't putting up a fight about it, but she was just like,
not at all.
okay, if that's what you want to do, like I would love to have more, but that's fine. Whatever you want.
I definitely left it in the Lord's hands, and I felt like, don't nag him. I desired more children, but just to pray, and that's what I did, and I had a complete peace. I was fine.
She's always been an amazing wife like that.
Aww,
and then even when I wasn't an amazing husband. And then, so around that 25, 26 years old is when I actually applied to become a California Highway Patrol officer. It was like 1 in 100 got hired at that season. And I figured, the odds are obviously not that I would get hired, but I did. And spent the next 5 years almost 5 years as a California Highway Patrol officer, working the streets in California, lived in 5 different places, or worked in 5 different places, from Orange County to Santa Cruz County to Monterey County to Modoc County, which most people have never heard of. It's the northeast corner of the state, very remote part of California. Population 10,000 people in the entire county. I think there's more antelope and wild horses up there than there are people. Beautiful, but very remote, very cold, very, very cold. -20.
A lot of rattlesnakes. You had to kill a couple rattlesnakes on the property, right, babe?
Yes, I did, for sure. But it was in that season with the CHP that California Highway Patrol, by the way, for those that don't know what CHP stands for, CHIPS, if you've ever seen that show. It was during that season when I finally got to a place in my life where I had the amazing, wonderful, beautiful wife that I'd always wanted. And I had that. I had everything I really knew to want. I didn't care about being rich. I didn't want more children. I didn't care about more money. I didn't care about a bigger title or a bigger career. And so it was like, what else is there? I've got the wife I wanted. I have 3 children, the family that I think I wanted. I had the job that I thought I wanted. I had the truck that I wanted. I was like, what else is there in life? And I'm still not happy.
So you felt empty. And at that time, I was struggling, remember, with some major health issues.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
Significant health
We were both
challenges.
going through.
Remember you said you felt like an 80-year-old in a 25-year-old's
Yes, I
body.
definitely felt like an 80-year-old in a 20-year-old body. It was hard, a lot of fatigue, could hardly, get out of bed to take care of the 3 children that I had, and as you all know, I wanted more children, and I'm like, "There's no way this is gonna happen," and had yeah, just a lot of aches and pains in my body, major digestive issues that sent me to
Mm,
ER
that
multiple
was terrible
times.
season.
I mean, I could go on and on. Depression really bad, couldn't sleep, yeah, a lot of hormonal issues, and
Yeah.
so we both were going through a difficult time. You were wrestling with, yeah, not losing joy,
Yeah.
really being empty, and I was
Yeah.
dealing with my health issues.
Exactly, you're right, and so I came to a place in my life where I just decided, again, thinking I was a Christian, thinking I was a follower of Christ since age 5, when I said that prayer that I talked about in episode 1, if you heard that, and now I'm 28. Okay, now we're at 28 years old in the story, and I'm like, I'm already a Christian, but I know I'm not walking with God, and I'm not happy, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to follow God. I just decided one day I'm going to follow God. I didn't think in my mind I'm going to give my life to him, but now in hindsight, I realize that's what I was doing. And I said, I'm going to follow God. I'm going to actually read his word, see what he has to say to me, and walk it out the best I can, because I do intellectually believe, guys. Of course, the Bible says that the devil believes and trembles too. So, intellectual belief
Yeah,
that Jesus is the Son of God and so on and so forth is not enough to save us, because
that's right.
the Bible says the devil does that and he's on his way to hell. So, condemned to hell. So, anyway, but I basically want, I internalized it to the point where I believe at that point in my life, I gave my life to Christ. I surrendered my will to his, and he changed my life, and he changed my perspective, and he changed my attitude and heart and everything. And it was so neat because right around that same time, like within weeks, maybe within a month or two,
Oh, yeah, probably a month.
God brought something else into our life that completely revolutionized Nicole's health.
Yeah,
So it was like God, we went through a really tough season, a few years there, and then God brings salvation to me.
which I wasn't being a nice wife, and I said, "What? I give it what? 6 months. I give it 6 months."
I mean, would you blame her after being married
Which
to a
is
lost guy
wrong.
for 8
Yeah,
years
I
and
should
all
not have
that
said that.
has been left out of our story at this point?
I just didn't wanna get my hopes up, I think,
Yeah,
and just was so discouraged, but I
for
probably
sure.
should not have said that, that's for sure.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, we gave it 6 months, and God didn't let me
And
go.
yeah, he didn't. I saw a change in him, and it just got better and better. It was amazing. You would come to me and be like, "Nicole," with God's word, "Look at the Bible says this," And I'm like, "Yeah, it
Yeah.
does." Yeah,
Yeah.
just seeing the excitement and joy, I'm like, "Yep, he just got saved."
Yeah. And for sure, and that was an exciting time, and still is, just thinking about
Yeah.
it, but, um, it was within weeks, again, after giving my life to Christ, that a magazine showed up in our mailbox, a Christian women's magazine that you had subscribed to.
Yes, and that I was praying for a solution that God would send me something because I ended up resorting to, yeah, some prescription medication and didn't like it. So I was so excited to get this magazine because I read this article about this beautiful, it was a beautiful, first off, it had a picture of this beautiful, vibrant, healthy, happy looking family.
With
And
10
I was
children.
so drawn to it. Yeah, because she had 10 children. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, a big family." And and so yeah, I just talked about these products that revolutionized her health and some other things in this article, and I was just deeply encouraged after reading it. And it had a 1-800 number. I had called it. Took me a while to call it. I was like wondering, should I call this? Should I not? Okay, it's free. My husband, he's not going to get mad at me. Not that he would get mad at me, but I'm like, it's free just because we tried a lot of other things that didn't help my health. And so, anyways, called this 1-800 number, talked to the husband, and he was so sweet. Talked more about the Lord than anything. And I'm like, Allan has to talk to this guy. He has to talk to this guy. And I remember going to Allan's office, wherever he was sitting, and just setting the phone down. I was not being a submissive wife that day, and I walked away. I'm like, "Alan, you gotta talk to this guy." He told me, "No,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
no, no,
no,
no.
like,
I
go
don't want to
away.
talk to someone who's going to
No,
try and sell me
no."
some supplements or
And I'm like,
something.
"No, you need to talk to this guy," And I left the phone there and I walked out of the room.
Just laid it on the counter and walked away with the guy on the phone, right?
Yes.
So I think she knew I wasn't
He wasn't gonna be rude.
so rude that
Yeah.
I was going to not
Yeah.
pick up the phone and leave the guy hanging like that.
I
So I
still
said
can't believe
hello,
I
and
did that.
anyway, we hit it off, and like Nicole said, we ended up talking more about things of the Lord and what God had been doing in my life over the
Yep.
last few weeks and months, over the next hour or two that we talked on the phone than anything. But what through that conversation, we also did learn about some whole food, organic, nutritional supplements that family had been taking that had turned around his wife's health, the mother of 10.
Mhm.
And so we learned enough about it through that whole conversation that and I think they sent us a CD or something to learn more about some of the science behind it that was alluded to in the article, that we wanted to know. Like, we want to know the science, we want to know the facts, because we had tried so many different things, not from medicine to
Yeah.
naturopathic doctors we've been to other supplement brands of all sorts that
Yep.
people had recommended and said it was going to be the latest, greatest
Yeah.
everything, that didn't help her at all
Yeah.
over the course of the 2 or 3 years, probably leading up to that point. And we got started on those products actually. And within what, 6 months,
Yeah.
your body was able to heal
Yep.
itself of everything it was dealing
Everything.
with.
Yep.
And thankfully, none of that has returned
Yeah,
25
so
years later
thankful.
now. I think it's been
Yeah,
maybe
so
26.
thankful. But I think what I love most, like, just looking back and seeing how God worked is those that couple today is like, they're mentors in our life. And that is like, that's been huge for us.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
the
And
husband's been a huge mentor. The
mhm.
wife's been like a Titus 2 mom to me since I grew up in an atheist home, and I needed, someone to mentor me and encourage me and challenge me, and she was exactly that. So
And they're about 20 years older than us,
yeah,
and so that's been great. And then also their children, specifically their oldest son and his wife, have become some of our dearest
yes,
friends over the course of the last 25 years. So it's just so neat to
it
see how
is.
God just works things out for our good, and he
Yes, he
promises to do
does.
that. And it doesn't matter where we've been or what we're in the middle of, but
Yeah,
he's working a plan behind the scenes that we can't always see. That just as we,
yeah,
the more we learn to trust him, and the more we see, we've been through some really hard things. In fact, we'll share some of them here in just a second. But we can look back, always in the moment we can't see. And sometimes some things we will never see this side of heaven, right? But there's so many things that God does give us the ability to see, looking back in the rearview mirror of how, he showed up and how we
mhm,
grew in this particular area, or learn this particular thing, or gain this particular knowledge or experience
yeah,
to help somebody else in, along the
yeah,
way.
yeah. And with that said, after that, then God was preparing us to move.
Right.
So
He
you wanna
was.
talk about that?
Yeah. So then I actually, at that point, after, becoming a Christian for real this time,
Not a
um,
fake.
I realized that I needed fellowship, and we as a family
Yeah.
needed a church family, and we needed accountability, and we needed encouragement and the mentorship that Nicole was just talking about. And we didn't have that. We were living at this time in
The remote
Modoc
or
County, the very
yes.
remote part of Northern California that nobody even realizes is part of California, probably. We drive an hour and 45 minutes to get to a grocery store once a month.
And we try to find a church there, but we just
Mhm.
didn't find one. I mean, we even visited the Mennonite church. It was a pretty cool
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
experience.
We made some great friends in the Mennonite
Yes.
church, and it was wonderful. But anyway, we felt like God was calling us back to Georgia, which is where this other couple lived and still lives, to be a part of their home fellowship. And so I don't know what year that was. Actually, I do. It was 2002. We moved to Georgia. We spent 6 years there as a part of that fellowship, and just totally by faith. I mean, during that season,
Mhm.
we moved there with no job. I walked away. I resigned my position with the California Highway Patrol, which I
Yeah.
believed I was going to do a 30-year career, retire, have the benefits and all the things, and just kind of, that was going to be my life. And we walked away from all that at God's leading. And and to be part of the church and be closer to them, and don't regret it actually for a moment to this day.
Yeah.
And while we were back there, though, we had no house. There was a single guy that had a pretty decent sized house, extra bedrooms and things that nobody was using, and allowed us to live there as a family. We had 3 children still,
We
right?
did.
So
We
yeah,
did.
yeah,
3
3
children.
children. Had we had a vasectomy by then,
Yeah,
or a reversal? I mean,
you hadn't yeah, no, you haven't talked about that.
have
Talk
we?
about the yeah, vasectomy and then
So I had a
well, you know,
reversal
you
before
did
we
talk
moved,
about the
right?
vasectomy, but the reversal. Yeah, you had the
Or the
reversal.
reversal, yeah.
Yeah, you had the reversal before
So
we moved.
before we moved to Georgia, after I got saved, I started reading
Yeah.
God's word, and God just changed my heart. Okay. That could be a whole nother long conversation, but for brevity, God changed my heart towards children, and he changed my heart towards my wife's desires for children. And he changed my heart to what I saw in scripture that God said about children being a blessing, and various things. And so I talked to Nicole and asked her, how she would feel about me getting the vasectomy reversed. And she was excited about that. So we went and had the surgery, or I went and had the surgery
Mhm.
reversed. And a couple years later, still had not achieved pregnancy. And in fact, was told by the doctors that by the way, at least back then, I don't know what it is today. That's been a while. That's been,
I'm
uh,
sitting here getting really emotional because yeah, once we tell you the story, we wouldn't have the other 3 that we
yeah.
have now.
Yeah, that's been about 25 years, I guess now. 24 years ago probably is when I had
Mhm.
the surgery done. And a couple years after that, they told me, and by the way, 50-50 chance back then, 50-50
Yeah.
chance that it would be a successful surgery or not to achieve pregnancy. And after 2 years at least of not being able to achieve pregnancy, they told me that it was statistically impossible for us to achieve pregnancy. Okay. Because my sperm count was too low, and it was so low that based on the surgery repair and all that, that
Yeah.
it wasn't scientifically possible to achieve pregnancy, which I don't understand because I thought it only takes one, but apparently mathematically it just wasn't possible. With God though, all things are
That's
possible.
right.
And even though we had come to a place where we had accepted that and realizing, okay, 3 is all we're going to have, we even started looking into adoption at
Yes,
that
we
time
did. Yeah, we were gonna
because
adopt a brother and sister from Russia. I remember that.
yeah, because our heart's desire was to have more children.
Yes.
And we thought, well, maybe that's where God's leading. And
Mhm.
lo and behold, we got pregnant,
Yep.
even after the doctor said it wasn't possible. And not only did we get pregnant with number 4,
Which is Caitlin. Our
Caitlin,
daughter, Caitlin, is a reversal blessing.
so that would make 4
Yeah.
daughters. The 5th was a son,
Yeah.
and
Braden.
he is 11 and a half months apart from number 4,
So they're
Caitlin.
consider Irish twins.
That's right. So you talk about close, 11 and a half
Yeah.
months apart. There is 2 weeks every year, almost 2 weeks every year that they're the same age. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway,
we have fun with that one.
yeah. So that was number 4. Number 5, number 6, Peyton, our baby, she came along about 2 years after number 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then God closed her womb, and we've not had a baby since, and we've done nothing about it to
And
try to
people think
prevent
you're
that.
probably we're crazy. Like,
I'm
what?
sure.
You haven't done anything? And we're like, nope.
Yeah, and that was at age 34 or 35 when we had number 6.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You're better with numbers than me, but
And now
around
we're
34.
going on 54, still no baby. Number 7. I tell Nicole, she's like, I'm too old. I'm like,
No.
hey, have you not read the story of Abraham and Sarah? You never know. You never know.
You
okay,
never know.
now everybody
That's
thinks
true.
we're really weird.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you already thought it. Now you know it. That's okay.
No, they don't. They don't.
So anyway, so we had the reversal surgery, then moved to Georgia. Okay, I skipped that part, but we're back in Georgia. We're living in someone else's home. That was interesting, going from having our own home. We had a home on 40 acres, 55 acres till we sold off 15 acres in northeastern California. I was a highway patrol officer, made a good salary.
Mhm.
We lived a comfortable life. And here we are now living in someone else's home because we thought God called us to this. Living in someone else's home, didn't have a job, had to
Well,
find a job.
He did call us to it.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
did.
because we believe
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how I said that, but we
Yeah.
did believe
Yeah.
it, and we still believe that he did. Yes, thank you for
Yes,
clarifying.
you're welcome.
So, Anyway, so yeah, I got a job. Actually, I got a couple different jobs. I got a job as
Wow.
a police officer back there. I got a job after that as a project superintendent for a general contractor running his jobs. I ended up losing that job with a family of, I don't know how many children
Which
we
is a
had at the time.
shocker because, yeah, I would never wanna fire someone like you. Alan's a hard worker, diligent, and yeah.
So, well, yeah, thank you, babe. It was a very difficult thing. I'd never been fired in my life. I had asked if I could build a home on the side, got his
Yeah.
permission, this builder's permission, assuming it
Mhm.
didn't interfere with my job. I
Yeah.
promised, assured him that it wouldn't, started building a home on the side. And then, after hours, not interfering with his job. And then when he found, that's weird that I say he found out, but when he found out I was building a home on the side, he flipped the lid and fired me, which I reminded him that we had the
Mm.
conversation before I ever bought a lot, before I ever started building a house, if that would be okay. And he had said yes, but it didn't matter at that point. So I found myself unemployed, a family of,
Mhm.
I don't know if we had our fourth or fifth at that point, but a family of 3 to 5
I think
children,
we had 5, yeah.
five
We did.
children. I mean, humbling, humbling. We didn't have savings. We weren't prepared.
Mm-mm.
We got on government assistance for a season
Which was
just to
very humbling.
just to get food
Yeah.
until we could get back on our feet.
Mhm.
And I don't know how many months that lasted. I don't remember at this point. But so even to this day,
I
like,
remember, like, buying the girls' dresses at Walmart, and I was like, "Wow, this is great," because I would go to Goodwill to buy the kids' clothes. I remember
you
that.
mean when I lost my job, you
W
started shopping at Walmart?
when you Yeah. Well, no, I think this is back when we lived at the church. That's right. When we lived at the church and we first
Yeah.
moved there.
Yeah. We've never bought new
Money was
clothes. There was
tight.
no new
Yes.
clothes.
Money was
Yeah,
tight. That's
no new
right. That's
clothes.
right.
It was all secondhand stores. And this
Yep.
is in our 30s. Okay, we're in our 50s now, so it's in our 30s. I know there's different ages of people that are going to be hearing this, but I hope that's encouraging. But it could, because a lot of people think at this point in time, we God has blessed us to be successful with our business. Um, we have outwardly, a nice house and cars that work and run, and more than one car, and
Mhm.
and all these things, and second homes and all that. But it wasn't always that way.
Yeah.
And whenever we come across people that have been through some really hard things, one being financial challenges, it's like, and honestly, I'm really thankful
I was just gonna
that
say that. I
I
was gonna
can
say
empathize.
I am so thankful we went through that. Well,
Yeah.
it taught me to be better with money. I was never taught. And so, yeah, it taught me a lot. So I
Mm,
am so grateful for those
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
So grateful.
Yep, God taught us a lot through that time. And anyway, so then I actually went back to building and built on my own, started our own business. We started building back there. Within a couple years after that, the 2008 crash happened in the real estate market. I am a third generation builder, and my father had a contracting business in Central California where I grew up, and he had been for a couple years, or a few multiple years, trying to get us to move back to California to take over his business and run it for him. Threatening to sell it, not threatening, but talking about,
For
thinking about
you to
selling
run
it.
it. You to run it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me to run it. And anyway, but in 2008, when the market crashed, they lost a lot of money, like everyone who was in building, I think, did. And I felt like that was the time that, God was calling us to go back there, to go ahead and take over the family business. And that was the end of 2008. And so we did. We moved there with the intention, because we didn't feel like God wanted us to raise our family in that particular area. But we thought, hey, you know what? We can come back with a plan to hopefully turn the company around in a couple years with God's blessing. And then we can move somewhere else, Northern
and
California,
and I,
Oregon.
and one thing I want to say on that move, since we're talking about hard, is I ended up getting pregnant with baby number
Mm.
7 and miscarried. And basically miscarried, once I got there, like, on the move.
And our
Yeah.
move was not like higher movers. Our move
We do it ourselves.
what move number is this? I don't even know. This is probably move number 16 of
Yeah. Yeah.
22 or something at this point in the
Yeah.
story. It was always pack the stuff, box the stuff
Always
ourselves,
ourselves. Yeah.
load the U-Haul ourselves, drive the U-Haul ourselves. I mean, I guess like most people would do, but just to be clear, it wasn't hiring movers.
Mm-mm.
It wasn't of the 22 moves, we have hired movers one time,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, one time, that's it.
And it was this last
It was
time.
so
It was number
nice.
22.
Oh my goodness, it
It
was
was
so
number
nice.
22. And it was only a move across town. So the other 21 moves, a lot of them were cross country moves. We went from California to Georgia,
Big
from
moves,
Georgia
yeah.
back to California, from California up to
But
Washington State, from
yeah,
Washington State to Nashville,
but
Tennessee, where we're at now.
yeah, but that move was the hardest because I was getting ready to miscarry, and so I got really sick. I think I was risking infection for sure, and I was sick on that move, and I had to drive our car, right? We had the U-Haul and car, and
That's where I
I
was
was getting a
heading.
high fever,
It
and yeah,
wasn't
it was
just we fly
awful.
there and the movers show up.
It
It
was a
was 4
nightmare.
days, 4 long days
Yeah.
maybe
Yes, and I
of
was sick
driving a
the whole
U-Haul,
time.
pulling a trailer, and Nicole going through a miscarriage or
Yes. Well, getting ready. So the
yeah.
fetus had, uh, yeah, basically passed away, and then once I got to California, I officially miscarried, so it was very hard.
Yeah, so we that was very hard, but God blessed our time in
Mhm.
California. Within a year, we started flipping homes right away. We pivoted the business from building homes to flipping homes at the end of 2008, right when we got there, into 2009. By the end of 2009, we were profitable. We were, as a company, we were doing well, starting to do well. We moved then to Washington State, and I commuted back and forth to California to run the company, which I was CEO of, and ended up acquiring a quarter ownership in the company. So eventually became an owner in the company, but was running the company from Washington, commuting, flying back and forth for about 10 years, almost 9 or 10 years, I
Yeah.
guess. That was, and that was a really, really difficult season because during those last few years when we were up there, we had a 14-year-old daughter, our second oldest
Mhm,
daughter
got cancer,
at the time. Yep, diagnosed with cancer.
thyroid cancer.
And
Yeah.
she's now in her 30s or 30. She's healthy. She's happy.
Happily
She's
married.
thriving. I'm
Yes.
happy to report, happily married. But boy, was that a scare. So again, another thing we can
Another hard. Yeah.
identify with people going through, health
Yeah.
challenges or having loved ones go through health challenges, significant like life and death, right?
Mhm.
Didn't know if we were going to lose our daughter at 14 years old.
Mhm.
And that was really a blessing too, on even how we found out that she had cancer.
Yeah,
Can you
so ho
say that
yeah, so
maybe
how we found
quickly?
out is her older
Amazing.
sister, Lacey, dared her to get on this horse that she had rescued, so it was a rescue horse, and the horse was only 2 years old. Well, if you know anything about horses, and it wasn't broken yet, and so, it was very spooky, and the anyways, it was getting dark, and of course, horses can't see good, and so they're extra spooky, and she dared her to jump on the horse. No reins, just completely bareback, and our daughter, Dakota, the one that, got thyroid cancer, she did. She hopped on that horse, and guess what the horse did? Bucked her off and kicked her really hard right here. You could see the hoof print when we saw her right
Right on the
here.
side of the face, right on the
So
cheek.
it broke both jaws, fractured the sinus, or almost broke. I think
It broke
like
her sinus,
yeah, broke her sinus. That's
it
right.
broke her jaw, and it
It
cracked
cracked.
her
Yeah,
her her nose basically.
yeah, yeah. So it
Yeah.
was pretty bad, and so they ran all these tests and stuff and did X-rays, and it was the nurse that came in and told us, "Hey, once she heals up, you might want to take her to your local practitioner because there is a lump on her thyroid." And we just thought, okay, well, that's weird. And the nurse said, it could cause fertility issues in the future. So if she ever gets married and wants to have kids, and we're like, oh, yeah, yeah. That kind of scared me enough to be like, yeah, because otherwise I don't know if I would have gone to the practitioner, maybe. I don't know. But
Or how much
so we
longer
did,
it would have been before we even knew she had cancer
yeah,
if it hadn't
we
been for
just
the
didn't.
horse kick and the lump on the thyroid
Yeah.
they found.
We just yeah, didn't think anything of it really, and so went to the local practitioner once she was healed up, and he said, "We would like to run a test. This doesn't look good." And so they did, and it came back as papillary thyroid cancer.
Yeah.
So,
And again,
super
she's doing
hard.
great today, but that
Yes,
was
she's
one of the
happy and
things that
healthy.
we've experienced together in our marriage
Yes,
that
was not easy.
man, some of these things just in the
Ooh.
moment seem like, how are we going to get through this? And now it's just, it's just a distant memory that we have that God's brought us
Mhm.
through and showed us his faithfulness.
So
And
thankful.
we've learned and we've grown. But during that season, not on the heels of all that, I went through definitely the darkest season I've been through in my life. And that was my parents, who had been married 43 years at the time, divorced. And it wasn't just a divorce. I mean, my dad started cheating on my mom. He started, in the local town that we knew everybody in, where the business was, where I'd grown up, started running around with different women, even just a lot of crazy stuff. And so that was really difficult, obviously, on the whole family, difficult on my mother. My mother tried
Mhm.
to take her life unsuccessfully, went into a really deep depression. My sister, 49, or I'm sorry, 39, my younger sister, 39 at the time, I think, mother of four, married, amazing lady, took her
Yeah, she
life,
was.
shocked us, rocked our
Oh,
world.
shocked us
Um,
completely. You
a
just
couple,
don't know what someone's going through,
you never know.
and they hide it. Yeah.
A couple months later, or excuse me, a couple years later, my brother took his life. And during this season, even though I was a believer, I did not make great choices. After going
Mhm.
years of giving up alcohol, I started drinking. So much so that I ended up
Well,
with a
I
DUI.
think you wanted to do it in your own strength. So,
Do what in my own strength?
just deal with all those issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you were hurting really
100%.
bad. I mean, that is difficult for anyone to go
Yeah.
through, and you weren't leaning on God.
100%. You're absolutely
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. For sure. And I'm ashamed to admit that, but that is the truth, and not good choices. And so that just made everything even worse. And I came to a place where I really, God used, though, that season to help me start evaluating or reevaluating my priorities, and
Mhm.
what was important to me, what wasn't. Um, Making an incredible income, which we were at the time. We were flipping 150, 200 homes a year, 15 homes, 20 homes a month sometimes, and making a great living. But I was just working for money. I wasn't passionate about that. Never was passionate
Mhm.
about that. Never had a desire to just go work for money or make a bunch of it. I always wanted to do something that was meaningful. I always desired to be a great husband. I desired to be a great father. And I felt like I was failing in all those areas. And so I feel like that just perpetuated the drinking and the downward spiral that thankfully God pulled me out of. And I think he used the
So
DUI to
thankful.
do it, among other things. But that,
Yeah.
you
Well,
want to add something?
one thing we forgot to include, because this was another hard we went through, we had a daughter with seizures that was
Mhm.
hospitalized for close to a week, and she kept having these seizures that were ongoing for at least 3 months. I couldn't homeschool. It was a scary, scary place. That
Right.
was another hard that we forgot, and
Absolutely.
that was before Dakota was diagnosed with cancer. So it was
Yeah.
like one thing after another.
Right. And I don't know the timeline because it all starts to blur a little bit,
Mhm.
especially when I'm retelling the story. But
Yeah.
we had another daughter that was dealing with addiction
Oh, yeah, we forgot about that one too.
and struggling in that area,
Yeah.
and something that runs, in our family. And it was really sad because
He wrote a book about it, by the way, if you wanna read.
yeah, so the details of our story, everything I've pretty much been
Yeah,
sharing, that we've been sharing, and more is in the book called
yeah,
Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway. For those of you that aren't seeing this on
yeah.
YouTube, Nicole's holding up the book right
Yes.
now.
So, if in case we forgot any details, there's a lot of details in this book
Yeah.
and, yeah, more than what we're talking about.
And by the way, if you want to buy the book, it's on Audible, it's on Amazon. Any profits from the book all go to a Christian addiction recovery ministry. So we do not make any one penny of profit from that book, in telling you that. So, but anyway, we wrote the book just to encourage and equip and help others to go through hard things, because we all go through them. They're just different, and the
Yeah,
seasons
that's right.
of life are different for each one of us. But yeah, we've got another daughter that we hadn't even talked about before, in addition to the daughter that had cancer and the other daughter that had seizures, that are all controlled now, by the way. I think you mentioned that.
Yeah,
That has
they are.
struggled with addiction. Now, we were just talking about this. Was it yesterday? You asked me how long she's been living on the streets.
Yes, I did.
That was just yesterday, I
Yeah,
believe,
that
right?
was yesterday, yeah.
And we think it's been right at about, was it 10 years now? Is that what we came up with? Or
Well,
8 years?
yeah, I think she started dabbling at 16, but 18 that she's been on her own, and yeah, and doing drugs.
which is 13 years of drugs, but
Yeah.
on the streets for, I think it was
But
8 or
on the
10 years,
streets
maybe.
for probably 10 years, I feel
Yeah,
like.
10. I think that's what
10.
we came up with. It's a little fuzzy, because we don't know exactly the timeline, but yeah, so 10 years. In fact, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been something. As of this recording, she's pregnant, 6 months, I think, on the streets. We don't know where. Last time we heard, she was in Omaha, Nebraska. Before that, she was in Chicago. Before that, she was in Nashville. Before that, she was in Miami. Before that, she was in LA. We don't know. We don't know where she is, and we don't have contact or a way to contact her at this time. So
And
if
we
you
could do a
if you
whole
want to add
episode on
someone to
that.
your yeah,
Yeah.
we could.
We could.
Did addictions, children with addiction.
It's
And I
not
know we're
easy.
not the only ones, you know?
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
big, big problem.
Oh, it's
And
huge. The more we talk to people, it's unbelievable, and I think a lot of parents don't talk too much about it.
well, yeah, not yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a
Or
lot
talk
of
to each other about it.
and we need
Yeah.
help. Thankfully we've gotten the help and we've had the encouragement, we've
Yes, we
had the
have.
counsel, and we've had the good advice from people
Mhm.
that have sadly had to blaze the trail before us.
Yeah.
And now it's been a blessing to get to encourage other parents that are going through similar struggles with their children, and just encouraging them and giving them hope and giving them pointing them to strength and pointing them to Jesus,
That's
and
right.
helping them know what the difference between love, or what tough
Yeah.
love is, and why it's important.
Yeah.
But so that's our daughter Lacey, if you want to pray for her.
Yeah.
But through that season, again, just reevaluating my life and looking at how unfulfilling I was in my career, and going through all that, um, God used that season to help me change careers. And for that, I'm forever grateful. It was 11 years ago, about 11, almost 11 years ago, that we started on the side, building the business we have today. It's a home based business in the health and wellness
Mhm.
space. It involves the organic nutritional supplements that Nicole started taking, and I started taking as well 25 years ago, as of this recording.
Yeah.
And it completely changed our life. And within about a year and a half, less than a year and a half, actually, it wasn't replacing our income, but it was generating enough. The side business was 11, 10 years ago now, was generating enough income to support our family of 8 on its own, which is no small thing. And so God really blessed our efforts in that way. And I was able to resign my position as CEO from the business that I was not passionate about, from a business I was making a whole lot more money in. And I just gave my quarter interest away to my partners, and came home full time to be a present parent, a present husband, a full time family man, and to continue growing that business, that nutritional business that we still have to this day, with Nicole. And it's been just a tremendous blessing
It's
in
been
our life.
so
It's been a
fun.
ton of fun.
Yes.
And health is something too that we're really passionate about, not only just because of
Mhm.
what we've seen
Very
Nicole
passionate.
experience, but
Yeah.
what I've experienced. I mean, I never had any health challenges, but what I've experienced just in the health and vitality that I have now at almost 40 or 54 years old. And I'm grateful for that. And believe it or not, I'm sure you'll believe it, if you've been married any length of time, health is a big, big factor in marriages. It affects
Huge. It's
every area of
huge.
life, and it
Oh, yeah.
certainly affects marriage. So we look forward to maybe sharing some of the knowledge and the insights and the wisdom that we've been learning and have learned over the last 25 years, maybe even on a future episode as well. So, with that, we changed careers, and that allowed us, because it's a home based business, to live anywhere we want, anywhere God may call us to, which was also another big plus for us, because we wanted not only the time freedom the business offered, but we wanted the geographic freedom that,
Mhm.
hey, if God calls us to another country, if God calls us to another state, or God calls us to be self-supported missionaries, we can go, we can do it. We don't have to have funding, because we have a business that funds it for us.
Yeah.
And so
Such a
that
blessing.
allowed us to evaluate where we were living, and really just put it before the Lord and say, hey, where do you want us living? And that led to us taking a road trip. You remember
That's
that?
right.
In
Oh, yes.
2017, we
So
took a road
yeah,
trip.
so we had a RV, we wrapped it. Yeah, we took our 4 children, so not all 6 because our
2 were
oldest
gone.
2 were gone. And
1 was married and 1 was on the streets.
yep, yeah. And so we took our 4 children. We had so much fun and just hit different, stops along the way. We did
8,000-mile
some
road trip
yeah,
around the US.
it was such a blast. And a lot of people ask, well, how did you end up to let you know, we live outside Nashville, Tennessee. And how we ended up here is we have a daughter that sings. She wanted to sing at the Bluebird Cafe, asked, said, this is on my bucket list. And so, anyways, she ended up singing there and we just fell in love with the area. It reminded us a lot of Georgia. I love the South. I love the people. I love the hospitality. I'm all about hospitality. And so, anyways, that's how we ended up here. But yeah, that road trip was so much fun.
Yeah.
Just traveling the different states and
Great memories.
great memories we made with the children. And yeah.
And that was 2018. We moved here to Nashville, the Nashville area. 2022, we launched. I was in the process of writing the book that Nicole just talked about and showed you here on the YouTube, Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway. And it was taking longer than I thought it was going to take. And I just wanted to get this message out, some of this message that we're sharing in this episode and more, obviously. And I really wanted to just start encouraging people. And that was the heart behind the book. And so God led me to start a podcast by the same name, Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway, which that was 2022. And I had an episode a week for the most part on that podcast. I was interviewing other successful people each week, different people every week, and asking them the hard questions of, what are some of the challenges you've been through? What are some of the hardest things? And what got you through them? And what are the mindsets you had to overcome them and to live a successful life anyway? And what is a successful life, by the way? And I would ask many guests, like, what is a successful life to you? Because to me, and to most of my guests, success is so much more than just financial success. But anyway, so that podcast ran through 2022, 2023, and just some great episodes. God really blessed it. It got to be in the top, I think, 1% of all podcasts
So
globally.
encouraging. So encouraging.
And so it may be one that would encourage you to go back and listen to
for
some of those
sure.
episodes, even though I haven't recorded a new one in over a year now, I think, because I really was feeling called to do something with Nicole on the podcast area, and really something around marriage or family or something in this space. And I just didn't have clarity for the longest time around what it was we should be doing, what God wanted us to be doing, what was feasible, what was sustainable, where could we add value. And long story short, here we are, beginning of 2026, and we're launching this, marriage, impact marriage podcast. And we're so excited about it.
So thankful we did. We're so excited.
So excited about it. By the way, the book got written in 2023. So the podcast, Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway, was 2022. Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway book, 2023. And here we are with the Impact Marriage podcast,
Yes.
2026. And today, I just feel like we're just super excited to be stepping into our calling in marriage ministry. We've been ministering to marriage and marriages, individual couples for many, many years.
Yes.
Inside and outside of our home-based business. And we've done different retreats, and we've done some different things that, have been really fun. And we've seen God move and work and do some pretty miraculous things, but we're really excited about the future. We've got plans for some incredible marriage retreats, some very cost-effective marriage retreats, some more maybe possibly, upper end kind of upscale marriage retreats. We're in the process of building out a marriage course, and that'll be available. And all this stuff is going to be available on our website, allanandnicole.com, if you ever want to check that out. And if something's not available and when you're listening to this, you can get on our mailing list to find out when it will be available. But any ideas that we have that, can encourage and build up and edify the body of Christ, and specifically around marriage, we are all in, aren't we?
Oh, we're all in, and we're super excited to do this together.
We are. And our desire, here really is have everybody. I mean, we believe and we feel so blessed with all we've been through, and our marriage has some struggles, and we'll share more about that another time. But we really believe that we have one of the highest performing marriages of anybody we know personally. And we know we don't deserve it. I know I don't deserve it. And I'm so grateful for it. And I desire it for everybody. We do. We desire it for everybody because we know, one, it's God's desire. We know it's God's plan. And we know that also when your marriage is thriving, it positively impacts your children. It positively impacts your any other family members, grandchildren. It positively impacts your health. It positively impacts lifespan,
So many things.
business, finances, all the things, right? So
Mhm.
we are extremely passionate about that. And we're excited for the next episodes and the
Yeah.
future content that we have in store for you.
That's right. So that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening today. In the next episode, we're bringing you practical tips and smart strategies for goal setting and planning your year together as a couple.
That's right. You're going to walk away with tools that you can use this week to align your vision and move forward as a team. If this message has blessed you, please follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you will leave us a review, it would mean so much. Not only does it help others find the show, but it helps us get future life-changing episodes out to more couples who really need the encouragement and support. Lastly, we would love to hear from you. Our website, as I mentioned earlier, and our social media links are in the show notes below. Thanks in advance. And until next time, keep investing in your marriage and live relationship rich.
Bye, y'all.